Welcome to A Good Life with Soul Haven, presented by Chris, Gregg, Samuel Yisrael and Natasha, the loving chef.
Hello, welcome to A Good Life at Soul Haven, and today, as well as Natasha, the loving chef, we have a special guest all the way live from Spain. We're welcoming back to the show Gareth. Hello, guys.
Hey, how are you?
I'm brilliant. It's lovely to see you again, and you look very cosy there in your Spanish work area.
In my office, yes. Nice to see you again too.
Yeah, brilliant. And of course, Natasha is here. Natasha is going to be sharing a great recipe for elderflower and lemon cordial today, which sounds perfect for the lovely weather that we've been having.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really good to be back again, and I'm so happy to sit in the yet again with things, and it's quite cool in here. I know Gareth's got like 30 degrees where he is right now, so I'm happy where I am right now.
Yeah, I've got to say I'm quite warm here as well, so I think you've got the best deal this week in your lovely, cool, shady yurt, and I'm boiling in the studio here. So Gareth is going to get us started this week with an introduction to Soul Haven. So Gareth, off you go.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. It's nice to be joining you from out here in Spain. It's always nice to reconnect with Soul Haven. Soul Haven is based in Malton, in Northampton, just outside of Northampton, and it's an award-winning community space where our focus is all about growing sustainable lives. We like to refer to them as sustainable lives because for us, sustainability isn't just about the planet, it's about the people, and at the heart of it all, it's kind of like having a deeply personal relationship with ourselves. We use kind of like the principles of permaculture and the rhythmic change of nature to create programs that support and assist individuals and communities in a way that's kind of like balanced and sustainable. We have what we call our soul mission, simple mission, and that's to share kind of like practical tools, practical resources, and experiences with people through the programs that we run through our flagship program, Mind, where we get people to kind of like reconnect with themselves in a different way so that they can flourish, so that they can create progress. So it's a pretty exciting place. I miss it when I'm not there, but I'm glad to connect with it like this.
That's brilliant. So what kind of stuff do you get up to at the Spanish arm of Soul Haven? Do you do similar kind of stuff for people over in Spain, and is it something that is equally relevant to Spanish people?
Yeah, there is some stuff that I do. I run a health retreat there, so there are some of the principles that we implement at the health retreat that I run. The village where I live in is kind of like a very traditional Spanish village, so I don't have much involvement with the community except the small circle that I am with. But my role from this side is kind of like to create things. There are some of the things that we use, like the cards. I have translated them into Spanish, so we have a Spanish set of cards that some yoga studios use. We've given them to friends and family, and I use them here with my partner in Spain. So there are elements that I implement here in Spain.
Are they the same design of the cards, but with just different words on them?
Yeah, they're the same design. Some of the words in English can't be directly translated into Spanish, so there are a few that have different Spanish meanings when you translate them, but a lot of them are quite similar. But just to give Spanish people an opportunity to kind of like use the cards and apply them and implement them. So it was a fun exercise translating them, because you'll have a word and then I will try and explain it to my partner, and he's like, well, that word doesn't exist in Spanish, so we'll just create a new one. But the designs are the same. Yes.
Amazing. Okay, well, it's great to have you with us on the show today. And we're going to move over to the Soul Haven garden now, where Natasha is, and she's going to tell us all about the legendary elderflower.
Yes, so thank you, Chris. So our garden, the market garden, the vegetable patch, the community garden is in full bloom with everything. So the courgettes are in. Oh my gosh, the beetroots are in their final bed, so they're growing. They're almost ready to start picking. I'm certainly picking the leaves off and putting them in salads and things like that as well. So yes, the peas are climbing. Oh gosh, it's just absolute amazing of what is happening. This year we're going to do the courgettes with stakes. So instead of letting the plants flop out, we're going to stake them up and tie them up, and hopefully they'll go up the stake rather than just flopping out. This is really good experiment for us. We haven't done it this way, but last year we had some wet weather, and then the courgettes got spoilt because they were lying on the grass or lying on the soil for quite a long time. So yeah, so after many hours of research, we're going to try something slightly different along the way. The tomato
That sounds like a
plants,
great idea with the courgettes, I think, because
yeah,
obviously you want to keep them up off the ground, and often logistically it can be quite difficult to achieve that. So how are you suspending them? Are they on kind of like a trellis?
so we've got literally pieces of wood from a tree. So we cut down we trimmed a tree. We trimmed our willow tree, and then we've dried the trimmings, and then they hold fast into a nice stake. So they've been pushed into the ground next door to the courgette plant. And then as the courgette grows, we're tying it to the stake that we've put in from the willow tree. And then we take off the leaves that have grown underneath the courgettes. Because we don't want the leaves to be touching the soil quite so much as well. So you end up, by the end of the growing season, you've got the stake, you've got this beautiful courgette plant with a nice long stem but no leaves underneath the courgettes that are growing. And the courgettes dangle and are held in mid-air rather than on the wet soil that we experienced last year with them. So I'm excited. It's an experiment. We'll see. Like everything at Soulhaven, it's all an experiment for us. It's never this way or not that way and things. So yeah, we always try and review and improve along the way.
And the fun is in the journey, isn't it? It's just discovering stuff as you go along. And your tomatoes are doing well this year?
Oh my gosh, I am so super excited about tomatoes. I love them. They're in their beds. So we grow the tomatoes in the polytunnel, and every time I go and pick out the little things that you need to pick out to make the tomato even better, every day I'm out there just saying hello to the tomato plants, talking to them. But as I brush the leaves, you can smell this wonderful aroma of proper fresh tomatoes that are going to be grown and produced by our beautiful plants. We do have many tomato plants again this year. So we've got 16 tomato plants in. Oh gosh, that's going to be a lot of tomatoes harvest hopefully, but normally we gather about 200 pounds of tomatoes. Yes.
Wow, that's a lot of tomatoes.
That's a lot of tomatoes, but we freeze them, we can them, we do all sorts with tomatoes here, and of course for every volunteer that comes we also offer them to take some of the produce home with them as well. So yeah, we tend to feed those who have also nurtured in the garden area. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have a good crop this year.
And the other one that's very exciting at this kind of time of year is when you see the strawberries starting to appear, because I love a nice fresh strawberry in the summer.
Definitely, it is a race. So we've got strawberries in our forest garden area, but it is a race between us and the birds because we don't cover them. We let them grow naturally. We do put, we do put hay or straw underneath the plants, so we rest the unripe strawberries on top of the hay or on top of the straw. So again, they're not touching the soil. But it is a race against the birds. I've been out there this morning, so I always walk around the garden every single morning. And they're not quite ripe yet, but we'll see whether they're there tomorrow.
So do the birds wait until the strawberries are ripe, or do they sometimes snaffle one when it's not quite ready?
Oh, they take as and when they love to take, yeah. So as and when they think it's ripe enough. they take. Yeah, but what we have also done this year is paint some pebbles red. So hopefully this will distract the birds.
Like a booby trap.
Yeah, like a little boody, but like a little birdie booby trap. Gosh, can't get my words out today. So hopefully they'll go for the stones, and hopefully that won't hurt them, but they'll be deterred from the ripe fruit, hopefully. So we'll see. Yeah.
They'll have a nasty surprise when they try and eat a rock, a red rock that looks so juicy and tasty, but it's not.
It's definitely not. So I saw it on a Google search that I did, and I'm part of many different allotment forums and things, and it works for other people. So we'll see. Watch this.
Give it a go. And the elderflowers are doing well at the moment.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. The elderflower trees are beautiful right now. So they're all coming into blossom. And we're quite windy up here for the last couple of days. So as the tree sways, this beautiful aroma is all around the garden. And I've harvested a little bit. So for those who can see on the podcast, look at these beautiful little tiny flowers. They are amazing. And the smell, elderflower everywhere right now. So but elderflower is really, really good for us. It has many different healing properties. I use it in many different ways in the kitchen as well. But, it dates back to our ancestors, and it's the medicine of our chest, or the medicine chest for people as well. So, so I'll go through a few little things that elderflower is good for. Healing properties, we've got the natural antivirus and immune system. So it helps fight off stages of cold and flu and breathing viruses. Now, when I have a cold, I gather... Let me retrack. So after the flowers comes the berries. So you can either take the flowers or you can take the berries. So last year I collected all the berries, elderberries, and I've frozen them all. And any time there is a sign of a cold or a flu come in, I actually make my own berry cough mixture from elderflowers, which is really easy to do, but it really helps remove the inflammation. It helps remove the catarrh and the mucus, and it's also really good to stop you from coughing. So elderflower is really good for the antivirus, cold and flu along the way. It's anti-inflammatory, so it helps reduce stress and inflammation in the body as well. So I truly believe that the garden is full of medicines to help us. There is a reason why every single plant is in a garden. And we didn't plant, we're so blessed because we didn't plant the elderberries, elderflowers, elder trees. They were there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, oh my gosh, we've got about 6 dotted around the site, and many people come and just help themselves to the blossom and make wonderful things with. But the elderflowers really, really good.
How old do you think the elder trees are then that you inherited? Are they quite mature?
I would probably say they're about 25 years old plus. They've got quite a thick trunk. They were very heavily pruned 3 years ago because they were just so wild, and we researched that actually if you prune them quite hard, the next year they won't flower quite so much, but the year after that is absolutely abundant with flowers and with berries. So we're in full bloom. It's almost like a sea of white cream flowers around the garden. It's very beautiful.
It must look amazing. I bet it smells incredible as well.
Yeah, I've just stuck it up my nose and now I've got an itchy nose. But
it's
I
great.
wish
If you've
there
got
was
a bit of a
smell
cold,
button
then
on
you
this.
just carry a sprig around with you, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely you could. And it's used for hay fever, chest congestions as well, and irritated airways. So when we first arrived here, I really struggled with hay fever because, of course, I came from a town to the countryside, and I remember the first week up here at Soul Haven, I had the streaming eyes, I had the itchy nose and the runny nose and things, but slowly and gradually I've become used to all the pollen that is around. But elderflower's just beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, you can drink it in a tea. Elderflower tea is often used to bring down fevers, and it promotes gentle sweating, so you can sweat this fever out. And it's also really good as a detoxifier and skin support as well, so helps flush out the toxins in your skin, supports the kidneys, because obviously that's where we detox quite a lot as well. So yeah, and also helps if you were to have like let's just say like a heavy Christmas dinner, and you've overeaten and you've sat on your couch in the afternoon and you think, oh God, I shouldn't have eaten all of that. Actually, if you were to have some elderflower tea, it helps digest food that you've overeaten. It helps break up the fats that you've digested and things as well, and it eases that bloatedness along the way. So yeah, it really is a beautiful thing. There's lots of folklore around this as well.
Yeah.
You know, in folklore, the elder tree was sacred to the goddess of transformation and protection. People used to bow down to the elder trees when they were passing, and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that works on a spiritual level. You know, it's used to, it's the mother of all mothers, really. You know, we never used to cut it down unless we asked permission to cut it down. But I do that quite a lot when we're harvesting up here. We always offer the gratitude to everything that we harvest, because I truly believe that everything has a soul and everything can feel the difference. So I always thank the plants that have grown and produced so much, and also thank the earth as well, because it's taken time and effort, and also the volunteers and people who've helped grow it along the way. So yes, but you can do all sorts: cordials, wines, herbal syrup. I'm going to make it into a panna cotta for my supper club.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's coming up in June. Yeah, elderflower panna cotta. So yes, I'm excited with that. Yes, but all things elderflower. And lots of things are happening in the garden now where they are sprouting and they are coming back to life. And we've had quite a lot of rain over the last few days, so it's really gone a little bit crazy with the combination and the balance between the water and then the warm sunshine. So yes, it's like a little adventure walking around the garden every morning. I see flowers that weren't there yesterday, and I see produce that has grown, and yeah, I love it. Just walking around.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely lovely. I'm very excited about all the ways that you can use elderflowers. So a few ideas there to try, and apparently you can use it in the bath as well to create a kind of like a herbal, fragrant bath to help you, especially if you've got a bit of a cold or some hay fever at this time of year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, pop a few fresh sprigs in the bath and sit there and just ponder for a while. Just let it all be and cleanse you and protect you moving forward. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Natasha, for that little guide to the incredible benefits of the elderflowers. And I guess if you're not lucky enough to have your own elderflowers, they grow all over the place. So if you just see some in the woods somewhere and you spot those flowers, then yeah, why not take a sprig home with you to use yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Please don't harvest them on sides of roads or busy roads, because they'll be a little bit contaminated. But yeah, woods, fields, hedgerows, when you go out for your walks, you know, it's a good one to get your children picking as well, and then you can make things with it, which I'll go on about later with the cordial and recipes. So yes, all things coming to life.
Yeah, sounds brilliant. You're listening to A Good Life at Soulhaven, and we're joined by Natasha, the loving chef, this week, and also Spanish Gareth. He's not really Spanish, but he's in Spain, and he's our European correspondent. And We've got an interesting tool to go through this week, which is something that you use in your sessions with people to kind of help them sort of assess where they are with their life, with their mindfulness and things like this. And we're going to post this up on the website so you can have a look at it. But it's called the Soul Haven Seasonal Self-Awareness Wheel, which sounds very clever and it looks quite complicated. But could you kind of explain how it works and what we use the tool for, please?
Yeah, there's quite a few kind of like measuring tools out there that are quite common in the personal development and self-education industry. But we wanted to create something that fitted with our philosophy and was in line with nature. So we came up with the seasonal self-awareness tool by breaking down our lives into different seasons so that we can look at things from a seasonal point of view. And like Natasha was saying, you know, with the trees all being in bloom at the moment, a lot of time in life, we want to be in bloom all the time. We want to have things going well all the time. But life isn't like that. Our life goes through cycles. And if we draw inspiration from the seasons and from nature, it's a lot easier. One of the other reasons that we use an awareness tool is it can help us to track progress in our lives. A lot of times we can get out of balance in one area of our lives. So let's just say there's a problem with my relationships. So I put all my focus into my relationships, then another area of my life, like my health, suffers. So then I bounce to that one. So it's kind of like being in this pinball machine going from one area of life to the other. But it's not often that we stop and sit down and look at our lives as a whole. I like to say when I'm working with people, and I think we can all relate to it, is that a lot of people spend more time planning a party than they do their own lives. So having a simple tool that you can look at really kind of like gives you a snapshot of where you are at right now, helps you kind of like assess which areas are maybe lacking, and then create some sort of plan to go through them, small gradual improvements. Because if we look at nature, you know, the tree doesn't bloom overnight. You know, the tree blooms slowly, the flowers blossom slowly, and all that sort of stuff. But we want to change everything rapidly. And yeah, we can make a decision in an instant, but when we use the self-awareness wheel, it's a lot easier to make sustainable changes and improvements. So that's kind of like a description of what it is.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. And although parties are important, we should spend a little bit more time planning our own lives as well. And I like the idea that if you've used this as a snapshot of where you are, you can then go back in a number of months and compare and see which areas things are improving and which areas things need a bit more attention. And I also like the language on this wheel that it's not negative. It's more, even where things are bad, you're not saying, oh, it's bad. You're saying, oh, it's a bit overcast, but you're getting help and support with it. Or it's stormy, you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, but that's positive that you've identified it and you can start moving up the numbers and make things a bit better. But it's not about right or wrong. It's about honestly reflecting where your life is at this point.
Yeah, I agree, because sometimes, you know, when we score ourselves, let's say we're scoring ourselves on a ranking of 1 to 10, we look at ourselves and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm at a 1, and we immediately are hard on ourselves. But if you look at the scoring system at the bottom of the sheet, like you were saying, you know, when we are at a 1 or a 2, it just means that the weather is a bit stormy. It doesn't mean that it's bad. You know, sometimes we have storms in life, but the storms don't stay there all the time. So our life is gonna reflect what happens outside of us. You know, sometimes it's overcast, sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's not. But it's not, like I said a little bit earlier on, it's not about being good all the time. It's just about embracing what is going on around us. And when we kind of like look at it and say, okay, well, in this area of my life right now, there's a little bit of storms, what can I do to help me weather the storm? Who can I reach out to ask for protection? Who can I reach out to ask for help? To ask for help? Where can I retreat to? Rather than just standing there and looking and being so overwhelmed because we're only focusing on one small area.
Yeah, because I mean, if it starts raining, you're not just going to stand in the middle of a field thinking, "Oh no, I'm getting wet here." There's always a tree or an umbrella. Never play golf though if there's a thunderstorm.
No.
So how does the wheel work with the different seasons? What does spring, summer, autumn, and winter represent?
Well, if we take them down and break them into the different seasons, spring is all about connection. If we look at spring, it's when everything starts coming together, like Natasha was saying, with what's going on at the farm. The tomatoes are growing, the courgettes are growing, and everything's starting to come to life. So spring is all about connection, but the most important connection that we have is with ourselves. So spring is the season of self-belief. And we can only connect with ourselves as strongly as we connect with those around us. A lot of times we look outward rather than looking inward, and we kind of like get detached from ourselves. So spring is also about, it's about self-belief, it's about vitality and renewal. We'll then move on to summer, and summer is all about self-expression. Um, Summer is all about implementation. It's about energy and getting things done, maybe a bit of collaboration. Who do I need to work with to do certain things in my life? If you think about summer as well, it's the time when we're outside. It's the season when we do the most because the weather is generally better. So when we apply that to our own life, well, let's use summer as the time when we do things. Then we go into autumn, and if we look at autumn, it's all about harvesting, it's all about collecting things up, it's about reflection and taking time to start going inward and kind of like look what's going on for us. Also a bit of planning. Sometimes we need to plan for the winter months or plan for the challenges that are coming up ahead. So it's kind of like looking within and creating a plan. And then the last one is winter. A lot of people don't like winter because it's kind of like a dark season, but it's also about time to process. We need time to stop. We need time to rest and reflect so that we can then continue the cycle on and go into spring. So when we do the seasonal awareness wheel, it'll kind of like when we've scored all the different sections, and I can go into those a little bit. When we've scored all the sections, it will kind of like show us at a snapshot what season we're in. And a lot of times, if I know, because awareness is one of the most important things, if I know what season I am in, I can then take the appropriate action, if that makes sense.
So you could be in winter in your life, even though it's summer outside. This
Yeah.
is not
Yeah.
literally what the season is.
No.
It's saying that this is the cycle that you go through in different areas of your life.
Yeah, it is because like Natasha was also saying when she was talking about the mystic and the connection with nature. We have all the seasons within us. We are a reflection of the outer world. We have all the seasons within us, and they go through cycles. So when I know what season I'm in internally, it's a lot easier to take action. If it's winter outside, I'm not gonna, unless I'm quite crazy, I'm not gonna put on shorts and a vest and go and try and sunbathe. Um, and it's the same when I realize what season I am internally, it then helps me to take better action.
So how does the scoring system work? How do you decide whether you're stormy or everything's nice and happy and sunny at the other end of the scale? How do you evaluate yourself on this scale?
I think the most important, like for me, if I when I do the tool, because I like to kind of like do a review every 3 months or so, just to see how I'm getting on. I think the important thing is to connect with how you feel inside. So if I was gonna score from a 1 to a 10, a 1 for me would have like a heavy charge and it would feel a bit heavy in my body. And a 10 would feel light and breezy. So I can create my own sort of scale. So 1, I would know if I'm having a 1 in my life because I would feel a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit bogged down, a little bit dark and doom. Or if I have a 10, then it would feel light and free. So I think it goes down to each individual how they are going to score it. But the most important thing is with all of these things is kind of like to be honest with yourself. We're going to know if something's at a 1 and we're going to know if something's at a 10. If we score everything at a 10, the only person that I'm fooling is myself. So like you were saying earlier on, it's not about getting it right. It's just about seeing it for as it is. Just because it's a 1 doesn't mean it's bad. You know, for me, and this might sound a little bit silly, but if my scores are generally lower, I get a little bit excited because it's giving me an opportunity to grow. It's giving me an opportunity to work on something. So when you look at the wheel, you'll see all the scores on it from 1 to 10. And I've just done, this is an older one of mine. And if you can see it on the screen where I've done all the things. Now, if we look at it and we joined up all the scores like a spider diagram, you know, when we were in school and we used to do those spider diagrams, we want them to be as even as possible. So it's not about getting them all at a 10. They're never ever going to be all at a 10. It's about getting them to be even so that wheel doesn't clunk along. So if I'm all at 3s, that's okay, because then I can choose, okay, I want to take one up to a 4, or I want to work on one area. So that's the best way to score them, and kind of like relate them, like I say, to the weather. You can look at the weather and you can draw your answer from the weather, so you know what stormy weather is going to look like. And you can apply that to a particular area of your life. You know what it's like to be cloudy. So that's why we've given the 1 and the 2 for the stormy, the 3 and the 4 for the overcast. It can just, you know, relate to you personally.
It's very clever because you've got so many different factors on here, and I think you might not have thought about, oh, actually, yeah, my relationship with my friends and family and my fun and recreation scores are great, but I'm not spending as much time on my health, or my time management's poor, or I'm not contributing to my community, or my optimism about the future could be a little bit better. So I think it's hardly anybody is going to be perfect in every area. It's about just being realistic about where you are and knowing which areas you need to work on.
Absolutely, yeah. And if anyone says to you that, oh, I'm a 10 in every area of my life, in my opinion, they're not telling the truth.
I mean, you're just cheating yourself, really, aren't you? So this is a tool to help you see what you need to work on. And then I guess, as I was saying, as you compare your charts over time, you might find that one of the areas that you wanted to work on, you've neglected and it's not changed, and another area has gone down because you were focusing on something else, and it's like juggling lots of balls at the same time.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, we often don't take time to sit down and reassess and look at where we're at, because we get so busy and so caught up going through the emotions, you know. I focus on my work, and then I get home and I focus on my family, and then I have a problem with some friends and I focus on them, and I'm constantly bouncing from one area to the next. And it's natural that we're going to, I'm just going to put it in inverted commas, it's natural that we forget about a certain area of our life. But when we take time to regularly sit down and have awareness, it just helps us to create that balance. You know, a lot of times we don't manage our emotions very well because we're too busy to stop and manage our emotions. But if I stop and look and say, well, my emotional well-being is suffering a little bit, then I can just put a bit of time and effort into it. Sometimes just looking at it makes you go, okay, that's what I need to do. Then we can stop and move on.
Such a clever way of looking at things. And have you seen a lot of people benefiting from the use of this tool in the work that you've done?
Oh yeah, I use this tool out here in Spain when I do sessions with people, and I know that on Plowing the Mind, when we run Plowing the Mind, I think they do it 3 or 4 times over the course of the 12 weeks, and you can really see the progress. You can see, like, when I came in, you know, my time management was not good, but at the end of the program, it was up. So you can kind of like really track and monitor things. And it's nice sometimes when we tangibly see something, that we notice our progress.
Yeah, amazing. And I think Natasha was about to say that you benefited from this tool as well.
Absolutely. It is a tool that can be used time and time again. And if we know where we are, this is the thing that we find in Plowing the Mind when we use this tool in Plowing the Mind. It's a realisation of where we are, and this is where we want to be, and then we can bridge the gap in between. And it's becoming aware of where we are and reality check, because sometimes a lot of us don't like to look at ourselves, but where we are to where we want to be, there's a plan then. Because sometimes, you know, we ask in Play on the Mind, well, if you had a blank piece of paper and you could do anything in the world with no restrictions and nothing is restricted at all, what would you like to do? Where would you like to be? And it's blank faces because it's too big a scope. There's too many different decisions or ideas that go through. So this is a tool that actually helps. Okay, where are you in your relationships? Where are you in your health, your mood? And it really brings down focus, or it brings up a focus of where people can move forward. And yes, like Gareth said, we do it 3 times in the whole course of the 12-week program with Ploughing the Mind. We do it very first one in the beginning. And we get quite a few people score quite high out of the 1 to 10s because that's where they'd like to be. And then we do it in week 6, week 7, around then. And then the scores tend to dip and it all comes back closer to the centre of the circle. And then we do it on week 11. And there's this explosion of numbers and people realising that they have changed from week 1 to week 12. And that's the evidence for it along the way, and they can actually see it. You know, we all strive to be something so much bigger or better than what we really are, or we're all striving to be something or someone that we're not actually true, authentic self. That during the course of Ploughing the Mind, we bring it all back to reality because we're all unique in ourselves. Along the way, we're all very different. Gareth's very different from me. You're very different from Gareth, etc., etc. But we all try and be very similar because of the peer pressures and things that we can control and the things that we can't control. And wanting to be perceived as this perfect person. Well, we are all uniquely perfect with our flaws as well, or our imperfections. I am me. This is it. Gareth is Gareth. Chris is Chris. If we were all the same, then we wouldn't be our true authentic selves. So yeah, it's a very magical tool that we use to visualise progression and visualise where work needs to be done if we so desire it.
And is it better to do it with somebody that knows you quite well together who can say, I'm not sure you really are a 10 in that one. You're being honest with yourself, and then, yeah.
That's a really good question. And I only laugh because Gareth and I do this quite a lot throughout our different conversations that we are doing in the background. And he goes, no, you're not. That's not right. You're in a storm now. You're not in the hot sunshine along the way. And it's like, oh, okay. So, yeah, there are good reasons to do it with a friend who knows you, but also there's good reasons to do it in oneself because then there's no judgment. The paper, the circle doesn't judge. It doesn't answer back. Some people prefer to do inner work by themselves without so much support of no, you're not, with friends or families and things. And it can get quite confrontational as well when you're doing inner work or reality or review work along yourself. The invitation is to sit and be with yourself along the way.
I think there's quite a skill though to be that honest with yourself sometimes, and that's why I think it's, for some people it's good to have somebody else who can, see you from outside in a way that you can't always see yourself, because not everybody likes to admit to themselves their imperfections.
Yeah, definitely. And awareness is key. How can we change and strive to be something to authentic self when we don't know where we are right at the very beginning or in the middle of a journey? Or it's always a journey, isn't it? There's never really a destination of it all, really, because I myself, I'm still on a journey. We all grow and evolve as we go along the way. Gareth has grown and evolved since the time that I've met him. Chris, you've grown and evolved since, we started doing these podcasts together. And I'm sure a lot of the viewers have grown and evolved with all the different discussions that we've had over the last 13 weeks along the way. I've gone on for a different tangent. What was the question?
Can I just add
No,
something
you're
to
quite
that?
right though, and I think, like, my metaphor is always, you need to have a map to know where you're going, and if it's your own
Yeah.
life, then you're the only one that can draw that map. But it's like when your phone runs out of battery and you've got no sat nav and you just drive randomly trying to find a signpost to show you where you are. And I've done that many times in the middle of the night for hours on end with my phone at zero battery, trying to get it to switch back on. And it's very difficult to navigate with no clue where you are in the dark.
Yeah. I think an important thing for people to also realize is that, yes, I can do it with someone else, but they're only going to mark me on what I show them. So I'm the only one that knows what's going on for me inside. And I'm the only one that I'm going to be kidding. So I might be pretending to my friends and family that everything is okay. And if they score me, they're going to say, oh, you're doing well on that. But I'm going to know inside. So it is good to do it by yourself. And it is also good to ask people what they see. Because that will also, when someone says, well, I see this in you, you're going to have a charge inside. You're going to have like a little thunderbolt going, wow, thank goodness they're not seeing that, if that makes sense. So it's good to do it on both. I would always recommend starting it on your own, and then asking somebody that you trust. It's important that it's somebody that you trust, because when I do it with someone else, it's also going to bring up their stuff. So even though they're helping me, it's going to bring up their stuff, and they're going to go, oh. And sometimes when that goes on, the natural thing for people is kind of like to project. And they'll be like, oh, you, whereas like it's taking the focus off me. So it's good to do it. It's good to do it both ways.
And I guess it can also help in a relationship to kind of identify the areas that you as a couple need to focus on, and like how you work together as a team, because your lives are so intertwined that if there's two wheels on a car that are both different shapes, it's
Yes.
going to be like the Flintstones, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not going to go very well.
Yeah, it's good. Like in relationships, it's good to do it as individuals and share with each other. But then it's also good to do it as the relationship, if that makes sense. So there's certain things that I like to do for let's just say fun and recreation. There's certain things that I like to do that my partner doesn't like to do. Now, if I'm just focusing on my fun and recreation, the fun and recreation of the relationship is not there. So if we then look at it and say, well, what fun things are we going to do together? Or how are we going to work on our health together? Or what is our vision for our relationship? We then have ourselves as autonomous individuals, but we're also working on the relationship together so that we have a common goal or vision.
Fascinating. So if you want to find out a little bit more, then obviously get in touch with Soulhaven and come on one of the Ploughing the Mind workshops, or just pop in for a chat and share your journey. And also we'll put the wheel up on the download from the podcast, so you can have a look and start. I guess it's the kind of thing that you could do yourself, but it's good to be guided through.
Yeah, I can also send over a document that explains each of the sections in a little bit more detail. So it explains how we see fun and recreation or time management and that sort of stuff, just to give people a little bit more insight into each one.
Yeah, I feel like it is quite self-explanatory, but it's good to have a bit of guidance there with it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that with us, Gareth. You're listening to A Good Life at Soulhaven, and we've come on to our Recipe of the Week section, and Natasha is going to give us some ideas of how we can use the elderflower, which has been the star of the show today, and create like a healing cordial with your elderflowers.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So yeah, definitely the star of the week, the elderflower that goes there. And elderflower and lemon healing cordial is really simple to do. It's good to do with children if you've got children as well. You know, go outside, get into the fresh air, harvest your elderflower elderflower heads along the way as well. So yeah, get your children involved. So you want about 20 to 30 different flower heads. You can pick them, shake off the bugs. You can wash them gently in water if you wish to wash them gently in water, especially if they've been near roadsides and things. You want 1.5 litres of water. Now, you may freak out at this, but it's got 1 kilo of sugar in it. But if you don't want to use sugar, you want to use honey, agave syrup, you can use xylitol for those of you who don't want sugar in it. So xylitol is something really good and beneficial towards diabetic or people who don't want the sugar spike. It's something that's very natural. You can find that in most supermarkets now, and obviously online shops as well. Now the lemon zest. So I've written the recipe here for 2. I like lots of lemon in mine, so I would put more personally in for that. But you want the peel or the rind or the zest of the lemon, and then you want to slice up the lemon into your pot as well. And to make a fresh elderflower cordial, it lasts in the fridge for about 4 weeks, but if you want to make it longer, then obviously you can add in citric acid, which is very easy to get hold of nowadays as well, and that's a preservative, so you can keep it for longer. Personally, I don't use that because as soon as I make, I drink or add to different things along the way as well. So yes, I add mine to ice cubes. I make elderflower ice cubes. I put it into dressings as well. So you mix it with a little bit of vinegar and obviously a few herbs and a few spices. And you've got a lovely dressing there for salads or even new potatoes that are coming up and things as well. You can drizzle them in pancakes and pancake batters, and obviously you can have it as a tea, like an elderflower and lemon cordial tea. So once you've made the cordial, you can put it into hot water and then you've got a nice drink with you. So yes, so how do you make it? Obviously,
Yes, how do you make
you've got your elderflowers. Say again?
Yes, I was going to say, how do you make it?
How do I make it? How do you make it? Okay, so you got your elderflowers, nicely washed, debugged if they're a little bit buggy. Your 1.5 litres of water, you bring it to the boil, and then pour over the elderflowers. So your water first, then your elderflowers, your lemon zest, your lemon slices, and then you want to cover and let it cool down or steep or stew for 12 to 36 hours at room temperature. Then you want to strain it, and then you want to add in your sweetener. So strain the infusion through a cloth or a fine sieve, or I use a tea towel in a sieve because that's my makeshift way of doing it. Along there, you can add in the sugar or the honey or the algar syrup or the sweetener of your choice, and obviously then your citric acid, and then you bottle it. Now make sure your bottles are nice and sterile. To do that, that's really easy. Wash them, clean them, put them in the oven about 100 degrees for about 20 minutes, and then let them cool in the oven, and then you've got nice sterilised bottles in there as well. Keeps in the fridge well for about 4 weeks or longer if you use the citric acid, and it is amazing. It's like bottling sunshine along the way. So yes, it's our harvest time now for our elderflower, so over the next 7 days we're going to be busy doing this along the way, and then I've got a whole season until next year. Then hopefully I've got enough lemon and elderflower cordial along the way, and try different things with it. Get experimental. Oh, would this work with this, or would this work with that along the way? So yes, it's exciting times. I love kitchen creations.
Yeah, no, this sounds brilliant, and my imagination is going crazy with this now as well. I'm imagining that you could make some nice iced lollies with this if you stick it on a stick and give that to the kids. Is it possible to make it stronger so that you could then dilute it with water, so that you have it like almost like you'd have elderflower squash, and then you can use it as like a cordial?
Yeah, absolutely. So you could boil it for a little bit longer after steeping. You can boil it with the sugar and then reduce it down, and it will go almost like a tacky, sticky cordial consistency, and then you can bottle that and dilute it with your sparkling mineral water, anything else that you would like to dilute it with along the way. I know it goes nice in gin,
Yeah,
if I'm allowed to say that.
Moderation.
It used to be one of my little tipples along the way. But yeah, elderflower and gin is a really good combination for those who do and things. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
Just
it sounds
enjoy it.
amazing.
Just experiment with it.
If you want to get the recipe for that, we'll put that up on the website as well, so you've got that ready as well.
Yeah. And I'm excited to be using it in my supper club as well. So yes. So June supper club, for those of you who know or maybe not know, so I do a supper club in the year once a month. It's all themed. We've been to Mexico, we've been Spanish, we've done Indian. It's all plant-based, refined sugar-free as much as possible, and gluten-free ingredients along the way. So yes, but I'm excited for this. So part of June's supper club, which is on the 28th of June, it's all about desserts.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's all about desserts. So yeah, we've got 7-course dessert taster menu going on, and you will find elderflower in there somewhere along the line.
Wow. So if you come along, I mean, obviously eating 7 desserts one after the other sounds like quite a challenge, and I'm definitely up for that. How much of each dessert do you have? Is it optional? If you like one, you can have a bit more?
Well, that's a really good question. No, so there will be tasters of each. So although it be 7 different desserts, it will only be little, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 mouthfuls of each dessert along the way. It's been requested, and it's also ticks a lot of my passion boxes. I've got a sweet tooth. I'm not going to lie about that. And I love to create desserts. And whereas the garden at the moment is flourishing with lots and lots of different things that I can pick up and use and things. And it's just going to be something very different. And there is going to be a little secret twist in there as well, but I'm not going to say anything about that.
Oh, that sounds very
exciting. Not to say
how
anything
can
about
people
that.
find out more details and book a place on your supper club?
Sorry, I missed that. I went off on a whole different tangent of secrecy.
No, I was just saying, how can you book tickets? How can you get involved?
Well done. Thank you. So yeah, so you can find out more on my Facebook page, which is Natasha the Loving Chef. You can also find that on the website, the Loving Chef as well. And I might even put it onto Soul Haven. But yeah, but if you're interested and can't find it, then do give us a call at Soul Haven and we can point you in the right direction. It is held here in this beautiful yurt. It's a communal table. As well, so yeah, so everybody sits around the whole one table and everybody gets served each course all at the same time. So yeah, something slightly different. Come along and
So you
give
can make lots
give
of
it a
friends
go.
while you're there and enjoy some lovely desserts. How many people are going to be there roughly normally?
When it's full, it's a little intimate 14 people. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so lots of chance to make some proper connections with people and have decent conversations as you're stuffing your face full of 7 different desserts.
Yeah, it's my heaven. Yeah, definitely. So thank you.
Excellent. So if you want to find out more details, go to Facebook/Natasha the Loving Chef and all the details will be there. You're listening to Good Life at Soul Haven and it's time to do our card picking for the week, and this is going to be happening live from Spain this week. So our Spanish correspondent Gareth has his card ready. Do you need to get these translated, or have we got the English edition?
I'm going to use the Spanish ones. So with the English ones, we call it the Life Zen pack, but you can't really translate that into Spanish. So in Spanish, it's translated Camino a la Paz Vital, which means, if you translate it directly, it means the walk to the peaceful life. So it has a slightly different connotation. So I've got all the cards here, so I'm going to shuffle them so that we can pick one randomly. And like I say, they've all been kind of like translated. Let me pick one out. We have this one, which is Esperanza, and in Spanish, Esperanza means hope. So it kind of like is one of my favorite cards. When I created the cards, I shared the story in one of the other episodes. It was when my mom was quite ill, but at the same time that my mom was ill, I had another friend of mine who lived in Belfast, and she did something very similar to Soul Haven, and it was called the Lighthouse. It was kind of like a drop-in center for women that were getting out of abusive relationships. And when she was ill, she passed away, unfortunately. I drew this card for her just before she passed away. So that's why it's called Hope, because it was like Soul Haven, it's a beacon of hope for people. So that's going to be our intention for the coming weeks before we do next week. So, thank you.
That's a beautiful card, and I love the word Esperanza as well. It's just such a beautiful sounding word. And I think they named the international language after it as well, didn't they? Esperanto, because it was all about bringing everyone together and kind of finding things that people have in common. But yeah, that's a lovely card. That one hasn't come up yet. So
no, there is a just to add a little bit, when you were saying like we do stuff in Spain. I have a friend of mine who I go and see every now and then, and she has a center called Esperanza, and it's a Dutch company, but they help teenagers that society doesn't want, if that makes sense. So they use the Spanish cards there as well. So it's a nice.
That's lovely. And I think hope is such an important thing for everyone to have, whatever you're going through in life. That's the one thing that keeps you going, is that hope and that kind of feeling that, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel and things are gonna get better. And it's not, you know, even when things are going well in life, we've all got hopes and dreams and things that we want for the future. So it's it's a card full of optimism, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful card. Beautiful journey.
And Natasha, what does Esperanza mean to you?
Esperanza, that to always have hope. You know, we can get stuck in our dirty water fish pond or in the thick of all of our challenges and things, and there is no sight or there is no exit from going round and round and round. Whereas actually, if we were to embrace hope, that also means that there's a future as well. There is hope that this too does pass, because everything does pass. You know, if you think about your different times in your lives and you think, oh my God, this is it, this is going to be forever, da 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 da. Whereas actually, the introduction to hope that things change. Primarily, it does change and it doesn't last forever, and there is a way to move forward. So I use the word hope quite a lot in my world. It gives people hope, because there is always, it's really interesting, and it's just clicked actually, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a light at the lighthouse beaming to show us the way. And that's just like, okay, yeah, that is hopefulness. And that's only just come to me. So yeah, so the cards are very impactful, very, very impactful.
Oh, that is lovely.
Yeah.
It's always the right card.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. We're coming towards the end of this week's show, but next time we're going to be talking about sounds again and using our voice. So I'm quite intrigued about that, because I do a lot of using my voice in my job. So we will see what that's all about, and we'll have another recipe from Natasha and more wonderful insights from the garden, and we'll see how those strawberries are getting on, and see if any of them have survived.
See if we won it, or whether the birdies won it.
There'll be a score at the end of each week.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us all the way from Spain today, Gareth. It's been wonderful.
Thank you for having me. Hope to do it again soon.
Lovely. And we will speak to you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.